Elena set her coffee aside and straightened her uniform. "All stations, report," she commanded, maintaining a steady voice despite her racing heart. "Energy readings unlike anything in our database, Commander," Lieutenant Park replied from the science station. "The vessel's hull appears to be composed of crystalline materials with properties that shouldn't be stable in space." The massive ship now filled their main view screen. Its opalescent surface rippled like water catching sunlight, making it difficult to focus on any one section for too long. What had initially appeared to be decorative elements were now clearly advanced propulsion systems and sensor arrays far beyond Earth's technology. "They're scanning us," Security Chief Rodriguez announced, his fingers dancing across his console. "Penetrating scans. They're looking at everything. Our propulsion, weapons, life support, even our biological signatures." Elena nodded. First contact protocols had been established decades ago, but no one truly expected to use them. "Open a channel." Standard greeting package. The ESS Vigilant transmitted Humanity's carefully crafted first contact message, mathematical sequences establishing basic understanding, followed by simple symbolic communication, and finally visual and audio greetings in Earth's major languages. For 17 tense minutes, there was no response. The alien vessel maintained its position, continuing its scans of not just the Vigilant, but reaching beyond toward Mars and Earth. "Commander," Communications Officer Y broke the silence. "We're receiving a response. Multiple data streams. It's overwhelming our systems." The main screen flickered as the alien transmission resolved into coherent imagery. A being appeared, tall and slender with 4 elongated arms and skin that shifted between pale blue and violet. Its eyes were multifaceted like those of an insect, but set in a face with recognizable features, though completely hairless and with vertical gill-like structures along its neck. "Greetings, adaptive organisms of the third orbital body." The being spoke, its voice translated through an algorithm that made it sound melodic yet slightly discordant. "We are representatives of the Sarathi Collective, explorers of the 16 spiral arms. Your presence in this system was unexpected." Elena stepped forward. "I am Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Space Service Vigilant. We welcome you to our solar system in peace and with curiosity about your civilization." The alien's skin rippled with colors. "Fascinating. You identify with your planetary origin rather than your biological classification. Your species designation in our records would be high-gravity endurance organisms with accelerated repair functions. We had not anticipated finding spacefaring capabilities in such physically resilient beings." The alien's head tilted slightly. "Our scans indicate your vessel sustains damage from micrometeorites, yet continues functioning. Your bodies contain numerous healed fractures and regenerated tissues. Your atmosphere contains particulates that would be toxic to most sentient life. How do your fragile carbon structures survive such conditions?" Before Elena could respond, another alien appeared beside the first. This one's skin shifted to a deep amber as it whispered something to its companion. Both turned their multifaceted eyes toward the camera. "We request diplomatic exchange," the first alien stated. "Our collective has encountered 67 spacefaring species, but none evolved in conditions similar to yours. We find your existence scientifically significant." Elena felt a chill despite the perfectly regulated temperature on the bridge. There was something in the alien's tone, not quite fear, not quite respect, that suggested humanity represented something unexpected in their understanding of the universe. "We accept your request for diplomatic exchange," she replied, following protocol while signaling Lieutenant Park to begin transmitting alerts to Earth Command. "We have much to learn from each other." The alien's skin briefly flashed a pattern of deep purple. "Indeed. Though perhaps not in the ways you anticipate, Commander of Earth." Ambassador Zinlux stepped carefully across the International Space Station's main conference room, each movement deliberate and precise. The ambassador's environmental suit was surprisingly minimal, a translucent mesh that seemed to strengthen the alien's fragile frame rather than protect from outside elements. 2 junior Xerathi followed, carrying devices that occasionally emitted soft pulses of light. "We appreciate Earth's hospitality," Zinlux said, skin shifting to a pleasant azure. "Your station's gravity is challenging for us. On our homeworld, we experience approximately 70% of your gravitational pull." Admiral Chen nodded respectfully. "We can adjust the gravitational settings in this section, if that would make you more comfortable." "Unnecessary," Zinlux replied, 4 arms performing a complex gesture that the translation matrix interpreted as polite refusal. Adaptation to varied environments provides valuable data. Alina watched from her position near the viewport as the diplomatic team presented Earth's formal welcome package. The alien's multifaceted eyes seemed to take in everything at once, occasionally lingering on structural elements of the station or on the posture and movements of the human delegation. Dr. Takeda leaned close to Alina. "Notice how they maintain precise distances from each other and from us. I'm detecting low-level electromagnetic fields between them, possibly some form of continuous communication." The formal introductions concluded, and the human staff began serving refreshments. A young ensign carrying a tray of water glasses stumbled slightly, sending one glass toppling to the floor. The shattering sound echoed through the conference room. The effect on the Xerathi was immediate and dramatic. All 3 aliens dropped into defensive crouches, their skin flashing alarming shades of purple and red. The devices carried by the junior delegates emitted sharp beeps as force fields materialized around each alien. Admiral Chen moved slowly, hands raised in a calming gesture. "It's just a broken glass. No danger." The Xerathi took 37 seconds to recover, their force fields dissolving gradually. Zinlux's skin slowly returned to blue, though patches of violet remained around their neck gills. "Forgive our reaction," the ambassador said. "Our neurosensory system processes sudden acoustic events as potential environmental threats. Evolutionary adaptation." Alina exchanged glances with Dr. Takeda. For beings with technology centuries beyond Earth's, the Xerathi displayed surprising vulnerability to mundane stimuli. Later, as part of the scheduled tour, Admiral Chen invited the Xerathi to observe a routine spacewalk. 2 station engineers were replacing communication relay components on the station's exterior. Through the observation window, the aliens watched with expressions the translation matrix couldn't interpret. "Your species willingly exposes itself to vacuum, with only that minimal protective covering?" Zinlux asked, all 4 arms making agitated gestures. "Standard EVA procedure," Admiral Chen explained. "Our suits are designed to withstand micrometeorite impacts and radiation, while maintaining internal pressure and temperature." "Fascinating," one of the junior Xerathi whispered. "They function in conditions that would cause immediate systemic shock to our physiology." As the reception concluded, Zinlux approached Alina privately. The ambassador's skin shifted to a deep indigo, a color they hadn't displayed previously. "Commander Rice, if I may inquire, your medical records indicate you have sustained and recovered from multiple bone fractures during your training. Does the memory of such injury not cause psychological distress?" Alina raised an eyebrow. "How do you know about my medical history?" The ambassador's skin flickered briefly. "Public records, naturally. What interests me is your species' remarkable pain threshold and recovery capacity. Most collective species would require neural reconstruction after such experiences." Alina felt a chill similar to the one she'd experienced on the Vigilant. "Humans are adaptable, Ambassador. We endure what we must." "Yes," Zinlux replied, multifaceted eyes reflecting the starfield outside the viewport. "That is precisely what concerns us." Dr. Hiroshi Takeda hunched over his laboratory console aboard the Vigilant, dark circles under his eyes testifying to 3 consecutive nights without proper sleep. Holographic displays surrounded him, each showing different aspects of the Xerathi transmission patterns. There, he muttered, isolating a seemingly random frequency fluctuation. They embedded it within standard communication protocols. Alina leaned closer, studying the waveform. These are directed at our military installations. Not just military, Takeda replied, swiping to a new display. These target human biological functions, brain activity, adrenal response, cardiovascular performance under stress. The patterns suggest they're building a comprehensive profile of human physiological responses. Alina's jaw tightened, and they thought we wouldn't notice. We almost didn't, Takeda admitted. Their scanning technology operates on principles we've barely theorized. But the energy signatures leave quantum echoes in our detection grid. Alina tapped her communication band, connecting directly to Admiral Chen's secure channel. Sir, we have confirmation of covert scanning activity. Dr. Takeda has identified targeted data collection, focusing on our defense capabilities and human physiology. A moment's silence preceded Chen's response. You have authorization for Operation Shadow Echo. Find out what they're really after. 12 hours later, the ESS Vigilant slipped silently through the outer perimeter of the Tarathi fleet, its advanced stealth systems rendering it virtually undetectable. Alina and a small team worked in near darkness on the bridge, passive sensors recording everything while emitting nothing. We're receiving data, Lieutenant Park whispered, as if the aliens might hear them through the vacuum of space. Their internal communications aren't as well protected as their outward transmissions. Raw alien data streamed across their screens, the translation matrix struggling with the complex language. Gradually, patterns emerge. Species classification protocols, Park translated. They're categorizing us as potential level 4 survival threats. That's their second highest threat category. Alina moved to another station where Rodriguez was analyzing ship deployment patterns. They're positioning for containment, he reported grimly. Not immediate aggression, but their fleet formation creates a perfect response matrix if they decided to blockade the system. The final piece came from Dr. Takeda's analysis station. They've been measuring our response times to stimuli, our physical recovery rates, even our decision-making patterns during simulated crises. They seem particularly interested in our capacity to function despite injury or environmental stress. Alina ordered an immediate withdrawal, the Vigilant ghosting away from the alien fleet before its presence could be detected. Back in Earth orbit, she requested a private meeting with Ambassador Zinlux. They met in a secure conference room aboard the space station, only essential personnel present. Alina laid out the evidence methodically, watching the alien's skin shift through various shades as each piece was presented. When she finished, Zinlux's skin had turned a transparent blue that revealed pulsing internal structures. You weren't supposed to detect those scans, the ambassador admitted after a prolonged silence. Few species possess such acute threat assessment capabilities. Is that what we are to you? A threat? Alina asked, keeping her voice level. The ambassador's 4 hands performed a complex gesture. You continue functioning despite injury. You show extraordinary stamina in conditions that would incapacitate most sentient species. You solve problems through aggressive innovation rather than cautious consensus. Zinlux leaned forward slightly. Tell me, Commander Rice, your historical records demonstrate that humans have repeatedly survived catastrophic events that should have eradicated your civilization. How is this possible? Alina met the alien's multifaceted gaze steadily. We adapt. We endure. We fight for survival. Yes, Zinlux replied softly. That is precisely what the collective finds. Concerning the Thunderhead-class battleship ESS Indomitable led the formation, its massive silhouette blocking starlight as it moved into position. Captain Malik Rahman stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back, watching the Xerathi observation vessels maintain their careful distance. They're scanning our hull composition and weapon systems, his tactical officer reported. Their energy signatures just spiked. Rahman nodded. Let them look. That's the point of this exercise. Unlike the elegantly designed Sarathi ships with their crystalline structures and flowing lines, the Thunderhead vessels represented humanity's practical approach to space travel. Layers of regenerative armor surrounded redundant system cores. Modular compartments could be sealed and repurposed during battle. Every aspect of the design emphasized survivability over aesthetics. Entering Demonstration Phase 2, Raman announced, "All ships, execute Combat Readiness Drill Alpha." The Earth fleet responded with practiced precision. Defense screens activated, weapon systems ran through targeting protocols without powering up, and repair drones deployed along the hulls. A carefully choreographed display of capability without direct threat. In the observation lounge of the diplomatic station, Admiral Chen watched alongside Ambassador Zinlux and the Exarathi delegation. The alien skin tones shifted through pale yellows and greens as they observed the maneuvers. "Your vessels prioritize structural integrity over efficiency," Zinlux noted. "They appear designed to absorb substantial damage." Chen nodded. "Humanity learned early that space is unforgiving. We build accordingly." Before the ambassador could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. A junior officer rushed to Chen's side, whispering urgently in his ear. "We have an emergency," Chen announced, turning to the alien delegation. "A comet fragment has changed trajectory due to gravitational interference. Impact with this station projected in 7 minutes." The Exarathi delegates froze, their skin blanching to almost white. Their ship controllers transmitted rapid communications, but their vessels remained motionless. "Why aren't they moving to intercept?" Chen demanded. "Our systems require consensus calculation before emergency response," Zinlux explained, voice rising in pitch. "The fragment's acceleration exceeds standard parameters. We cannot compute a safe intervention strategy in the available timeframe." Chen didn't hesitate. "All Earth vessels, we have an incoming impact threat to Station Delta. Requesting immediate intervention." Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Raman received the alert and assessed the trajectory data in seconds. "Helm full burn to intercept course. Engineering. Divert power to forward shields." "Sir, if we position to absorb that impact," his first officer began. "We'll take damage," Raman finished. "But we're built for it. Execute now." The massive battleship broke formation, engines flaring as it accelerated toward the incoming threat. The comet fragment, nearly 30 meters across and moving at tremendous speed, became visible against the backdrop of stars. "Brace for impact," Raman ordered, his crew securing crash positions. The collision shook the Indomitable with catastrophic force. The comet fragment shattered against the forward shields, but not before overwhelming them. Hull plating buckled along 3 decks. Conduits ruptured, sending cascades of sparks across multiple stations. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut as fires broke out in the forward sections. Raman picked himself up from the deck, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead. Damage report. "Multiple hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. His tactical officer reported, working through a damaged console. "Auxiliary power at 60%. Weapon systems offline. Life support stable in all occupied sections. Casualties. 17 injured, no fatalities. Medical teams responding." Raman wiped blood from his eye. "Communications. Still functional, Captain. Inform Station Delta the threat is neutralized. And get me a repair timeline." From the observation lounge, the Exarathi delegation watched in stunned silence as the damaged human vessel stabilized its position, emergency crews already visible on its hull making repairs. Despite visible structural damage and venting atmosphere from several compartments, the ship maintained operational control. "They're still functioning after that impact," a Exarathi scientist whispered to Ambassador Zinlux. "The crew continues performing duties despite sustaining personal injuries." The ambassador's skin shifted to a deep purple never before seen by the human observers. "This changes our assessment completely." Tylonera's hands trembled as Elena escorted the junior Xerathi diplomat through the secure corridors of the Vigilant. The alien's skin displayed mottled patterns of teal and amber, colors Dr. Takeda's research suggested indicated extreme stress. The environmental controls in this section have been adjusted to match your homeworld parameters, Elena assured her unexpected guest. Temperature, humidity, gravity, and atmospheric composition should be more comfortable. Thank you, Commander, Tylonera replied, the trembling subsiding slightly. Even small environmental variations can be taxing for my species. They reached a private conference room where Admiral Chen and Dr. Takeda waited. Security monitors displayed the vessel's immediate surroundings, confirming no other Xerathi ships had followed. You've taken significant risk coming here, Chen stated once introductions were complete. Why? Tylonera's four hands performed a complex sequence that their translator interpreted as both deference and urgency. Because the collective's assessment of your species is fundamentally flawed, and dangerously so. The alien removed a crystalline data module from a pocket and placed it on the table. It projected a holographic display, a galactic map with various systems colored according to some classification system. The collective categorizes all intelligent species by their evolutionary environment, Tylonera explained. Most advanced civilizations we've encountered evolved on what we call nurture worlds, planets with stable climates, minimal tectonic activity, consistent radiation shielding, and abundant resources. Like your homeworld, Dr. Takeda surmised. Yes, over millennia, such environments allowed species to develop advanced cognitive and technological capabilities without needing the physical adaptations required on more challenging worlds. Tylonera pointed to a different section of the map, marked in morning colors. These are what we call crucible worlds, planets with extreme environmental pressures. The alien's fingers highlighted Earth. Your world exhibits extraordinary environmental variation, from blistering deserts to frozen poles, from crushing ocean depths to oxygen-thin mountains. Your species evolved to withstand massive temperature variations, exposure to environmental toxins, high gravity, and frequent natural disasters. Elena exchanged glances with Chen. You're saying we're unusual because our planet tried to kill us regularly. Precisely. Tylonera's skin shifted to a deep blue. The traits that enabled your survival terrify the collective leadership. Your ability to withstand pain, continue fighting despite injury, and sacrifice current comfort for future advantage are considered dangerous evolutionary programming among gentle world species. That doesn't explain the covert scans or containment preparations, Chen pressed. Tylonera's skin darkened further. The diplomatic mission serves as the final assessment phase. The collective has encountered crucible-evolved species before, but none that developed spacefaring technology. Most self-destructed before achieving interstellar capability. And now they're afraid will spread throughout the galaxy, Elena realized. Your instincts drive you to expand, adapt, overcome obstacles, traits that gentle world species find inherently threatening. Tylonera gestured to a data stream showing human medical records. Your children fracture bones and recover completely. Your adults survive injuries that would be fatal to any collective species. Your astronauts willingly endure radiation exposure that would cause cellular collapse in our bodies. The alien leaned forward, voice dropping. The High Command's final deliberation happens tomorrow. Many already favor establishing a containment field around your entire solar system. Technology that would prevent any vessel from leaving or entering. An embargo, Chen said grimly. Or a prison. They fear what they do not understand, Tylonera replied. And what the collective fears, it contains. How much time do we have? Elena asked. The decision comes tomorrow, Tylonera whispered. And unless you can change their fundamental perception of humanity, they will choose containment. The emergency council chamber fell silent as the long-range sensor data materialized in the central holographic display. Beyond Neptune's orbit, hundreds of Xerathi vessels had appeared. transitioning from whatever faster-than-light methodology they employed. Their elegant ships unfolded from travel configuration into formations clearly designed for combat operations. "They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore," Admiral Chen said grimly, studying the tactical overlay. Distributed containment pattern. Multiple weapon platforms activating. General Santos, commander of Earth's ground forces, leaned forward. "Can we evacuate colonies? Get our people back to Earth?" "Not in time," Chen replied. "Mars could manage partial evacuation, but the outer settlements wouldn't stand a chance." Elena stood beside Dr. Takeda and their Xarathi defector, Tylnera, whose skin had paled to an ashen gray upon seeing the fleet deployment. "Those are Harmony-class interdictors," the alien whispered. "They generate the containment fields. Once established, nothing enters or leaves." "How long?" Elena demanded. "Hours, not days," Tylnera replied. The council erupted in heated debate. Military leaders pushed for immediate deployment of Earth's defensive fleet. Colonial representatives demanded evacuation priority. Scientists argued for attempting communication. "Enough." Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "We're outnumbered 10-1. Even with our most advanced weaponry, we couldn't defeat a force that size." "Then we surrender?" Santos challenged. "No," Elena interjected, an idea forming. "We change their minds." All eyes turned to her. Elena moved to the holographic display, pulling up footage from the Indomitable's encounter with the comet fragment. "The Xarathi fear us because they've only seen our capacity for violence and survival," she explained. "They've measured our physical resilience and combat readiness, but they haven't truly understood how we channel those traits." She gestured to Tylnera. "Their species evolved without the environmental pressures that shaped humanity. They can't comprehend why beings would risk themselves for others, especially outside their evolutionary line." Dr. Takeda caught her meaning immediately. "We need to show them that our adaptive traits serve purposes beyond warfare or self-preservation." Working through the night in a frenzy of activity, Elena and Takeda compiled footage from Earth's archives. Emergency responders rushing into burning buildings, paramedics working tirelessly after disasters, astronauts performing repairs in lethal conditions, researchers enduring Arctic temperatures to study climate change, doctors staying awake for days during medical crises. Each scenario represents conditions that would be physically impossible for Xarathi physiology, Takeda explained to the council. But they all share one critical element: humans using their evolutionary advantages to help others, advance knowledge, or preserve life. Admiral Chen reviewed their presentation silently, his expression unreadable. Finally, he looked up. "You want to bring this directly to their flagship?" "Yes," Elena confirmed. "A personal appeal to their high command." "It's suicide," Santos objected. "They could capture or kill you immediately." "They could," Elena acknowledged. "But Tylnera's information suggests their leadership genuinely believes they're containing a threat. If we can demonstrate otherwise." The council chamber grew quiet as the implications settled. Finally, Chen straightened his uniform. "I'm authorizing this mission, Commander Reyes. You have 12 hours before I must deploy our fleet." As Elena prepared to board the diplomatic shuttle, Chen approached her privately. "The Indomitable will escort you to the designated meeting point," Captain Raman insisted. He gripped her shoulder briefly. "This is either first contact or last contact, Commander. Show them who we really are." Elena nodded, acutely aware of the weight settling on her shoulders. Not just her life, but the future of human expansion among the stars, now depended on her ability to bridge an evolutionary gap millions of years in the making. Elena fought to keep her breathing steady as she stood before the Xarathi High Command. The flagship's chamber curved around her in a perfect acoustic dome, its walls rippling with living crystal that responded to the emotional states of its occupants. 7 senior Xarathi sat in a semicircle, their multiple eyes studying her with unnerving intensity. The air felt thin in her lungs, calibrated to the Xarathi homeworld rather than human physiology. a subtle reminder of her vulnerability here. You request audience at an unusual time. Commander Reyes, the central commander, spoke, skin shifting between formal patterns of deep blue and violet. Our assessment phase concludes today. That is why I've come, Elena replied, keeping her voice even despite the oxygen deprivation beginning to affect her concentration. Your assessment is based on incomplete information. A ripple of color passed through the assembled aliens, their equivalent of murmured conversation. The crystalline walls pulsed in response. We have conducted thorough analysis of your species' capabilities and evolutionary patterns, another commander stated. Our conclusions derive from objective data. Elena activated her presentation module. The holographic display came to life between her and the High Command. You've analyzed our physical capacities and military potential, she acknowledged, but you've misinterpreted the purpose of our evolutionary adaptations. The first sequence played, footage from the Indonesian tsunami of 2045. Human rescue workers plunging into debris-filled waters to save strangers. Medics working for 72 consecutive hours without rest. Engineers creating improvised rescue equipment from damaged technology. These humans expose themselves to conditions that would cause immediate systemic failure in Sarathi physiology, Elena explained. Not for conquest or personal gain, but to save others. She advanced to the next sequence, the Mars habitat collapse of 2112. Astronauts in damaged suits patching hull breaches while exposed to lethal radiation levels. Scientists protecting research samples while their own skin blistered from cold exposure. A commander giving her remaining oxygen to an unconscious crew member. The High Command watched in silence, their skin patterns shifting to colors Elena couldn't interpret. The living walls around them pulsed with increasingly complex patterns. More sequences followed. Antarctic researchers preserving specimens while trapped in a blizzard. Firefighters entering burning structures to save not just humans but animals. Surgeons performing 20-hour operations, their focus unwavering despite physical exhaustion. These abilities you fear, our pain tolerance, our stamina, our capacity to function despite injury, evolved to ensure our survival on a challenging world. Elena continued, fighting the lightheadedness from the thin atmosphere. But we've chosen to direct these traits toward preservation rather than destruction. Toward creation rather than conquest. A senior commander with intricate markings around its guild structures leaned forward. These behaviors appear noble, but they demonstrate exactly why humans remain unpredictable and dangerous. You willingly endure conditions that should trigger self-preservation responses. Such irrationality cannot be reliably modeled. Is it irrational to sacrifice for others? Elena challenged. Your own histories must contain similar examples. We evolved through cooperation, not physical endurance, another commander countered. Our environmental challenges required collective problem-solving, not individual heroism. The debate intensified among the Exarathi leadership, colors flashing across their skin in complex arguments Elena couldn't follow. The chamber's walls pulsed with conflicting patterns as the High Command's unity fractured over humanity's assessment. The central commander raised all four hands for silence when suddenly warning sirens blasted throughout the fleet. The crystalline walls flashed urgent patterns of deep crimson and amber. Long-range sensors detect a massive solar flare, a Xarathi operator announced, skin blanched nearly white. Class X-28, trajectory directly toward our current position. Impact in 27 minutes. Panic erupted across the Xarathi flagship as status reports flooded in from the fleet. The elegant command chamber, moments ago a model of alien composure, dissolved into chaos. The crystalline walls pulsed with alarming patterns of crimson and amber, reflecting the collective fear of the crew. Radiation levels will exceed sustainable thresholds for all vessels, a senior operator reported, skin shifting to pale yellow. Shield technology cannot compensate for solar emissions of this magnitude. The central commander turned to Elena, multifaceted eyes reflecting the emergency displays. Your shuttle must depart immediately. Return to your fleet and withdraw to the shadow of your outer planets. Elena accessed her communication link, connecting directly to Admiral Chen. "Sir, that Xarethi vessels aren't equipped to handle this level of solar radiation. Their shields and hulls weren't designed for these conditions." Chen's response came through clearly despite the growing interference. "Understood. We've detected the flare. Earth vessels are better shielded against our own star's emissions." A moment's silence followed as both humans reached the same conclusion simultaneously. "All Earth vessels," Chen broadcast on all channels, "deploy between the Xarethi fleet and the incoming solar radiation front. Maximum shield configuration. Protect the Xarethi ships." On the flagship's external monitors, Elena watched Earth's fleet break formation, accelerating toward the Xarethi vessels rather than retreating. The Thunderhead-class ships, including the still-damaged Indomitable, formed the front line. "What are they doing?" demanded a Xarethi commander, colors flowing rapidly across its skin. "They're positioning to shield your fleet," Elena explained, feeling a surge of pride. "Our vessels are designed to withstand our star's periodic flares. Yours aren't." The radiation front hit Earth's vessels first, bathing them in deadly energies that overloaded sensors. Emergency alarms blared as shield generators drained beyond their rated capacities. Hull temperatures soared to dangerous levels. Inside these human ships, crews worked through cascading system failures and radiation warnings, rerouting power, cooling critical systems manually when automatics failed, and performing emergency repairs even as their own radiation exposure climbed to concerning levels. Elena watched the High Command's reaction as they monitored the human fleet's response. The alien skin displayed colors she'd never seen before, patterns that Tylenera had described as representing profound confusion and reassessment. "They are sustaining damage to protect us," one commander whispered. "Their crews continue functioning despite radiation exposure that would immediately incapacitate our personnel." When the solar storm finally passed, the monitors showed Earth's vessels still positioned protectively around the Xarethi fleet. The human ships showed extensive damage: scorched hull plating, disabled weapon systems, flickering shields, but remained operational, maintaining their protective formation. The command chamber fell silent as the Xarethi processed what they had witnessed. The central commander approached Elena slowly, skin shifting to a deep gold color she had never seen before. "We came to determine if your species represented a threat to galactic harmony," the commander admitted, voice modulated to a formal tone. "We failed to recognize that the same traits that make humans dangerous also make you extraordinary protectors." The alien raised all four hands in a gesture that required no translation. "The containment protocols are hereby abandoned. In their place, we offer alliance, one that recognizes humanity's unique strengths, not as weapons, but as shields." As communications restored across both fleets, Elena watched her homeworld grow larger on the view screen. Earth's damaged vessels began escorting the Xarethi ships toward the inner system, their hulls still glowing from absorbed radiation. The human capacity for sacrifice, for standing in the fire to protect others, traits born from millions of years of harsh evolution on a crucible world, had finally found their true purpose among the stars.